Hello and welcome to the Win It in Motorsport Formula One Academy Race Weekend Recap. Jeddah plus a lot to talk about from NASCAR. Catherine Legg over at Rockingham and her 2025 schedule being introduced. I'm Joe Sanriego. With me, Isha Bajwa from Chaos in the Paddock, and we have Ben Schneider from lastcar.info and Grid Encore. A big thank you to our Patreon investors, Colin Michelle, Mark Robin, David, and Matthew for investing in the Grid Network. You too can invest in the Grid Network. Link in the video description. We'll add your name to the leaderboard. And of course, you'll get some special thank yous from us over in Patreon. And we accept one time or multiple times over on YouTube Super Chat right here. YouTube, thanks. You're watching us since we're not live right now at the moment. And buy me a coffee. Isha, Ben, let's get started. F1 Academy weekend. A very competitive weekend of competition for F1 Academy. Sort of got me a little bit by surprise, I'll be honest. We've talked about leading up to this. Dorian Pin, Malia Wood, Chloe Chambers as the top three. Chloe Chambers struck first, pole. So she had to start 8th in the first race. Front row, Emma Febemeyer and Ella Lloyd. At the start, Lloyd had a great start, able to take the lead, pull out, get to the lead. We had a safety car, and she managed to hold off Maya Wood, who took second place after getting around Alicia Pomolowski. Weug ran out of time just trying to catch up to Lloyd on that last lap, making it really close. Isha, Lloyd, first driver was McLaren support to win the F1 Academy. How big is this accomplishment for her and McLaren?
I feel like winning any race is an accomplishment within itself, and especially on a stage as Formula One Academy with having so many sponsors, so many eyes, and also just being around the Formula One paddock. This is such a great achievement for Lloyd. I definitely commend her. She did an amazing race. It was able to get in front on turn 1 and able to keep it for the entire race. And then for McLaren, it just shows how dominant they are. They're able to take what they're doing in Formula One and able to translate that, or like give Ella Lloyd that kind of encouragement and the knowledge that she had to take that car and her into first place.
Yeah, and that's a great point, Joe, as well, because Bianca Bustamante, of course, had the McLaren support last year, but her 2 wins in F1 Academy both came in 2023 before the 10 F1 teams signed on to each back a driver in this series. So she is the first to do it in a papaya livery, if you will, and completely agree with everything you just said. The reverse grid worked out in her favor, and she had a lot of pressure from the drivers that, the reverse grid put further towards the back, but the Maya Vugs and Dorian Pens and Alicia Palmowskis of the world coming up there and finishing 2nd through 4th, but really putting that pressure on Ella Lloyd there at the end of the race, but she was able to hold them all off and take the victory, and well done to her. And again, probably she can continue to keep this up. Not the last time we'll be seeing her standing on the podium in F1 Academy this year.
Yeah, it'll be really exciting to see how she could do rest of F1 Academy. That race, plenty of passing where we saw drivers coming towards the front, some of the drivers up front falling towards the back. Race 2, a lot more great battles all over, especially Chloe Chambers, Maya Woog for the lead. However, a penalty was imposed on Chloe Chambers for gaining an unfair advantage. At one point, both her and Maya contact, briefly left the track. That was a big moment. I just thought this was the moment Dorian Penn and third was going to get it. I got to say, the coverage, they were on board with Dorian Penn when that contact happened. Great moment to be captured from her perspective. But unfortunately, that 5-second penalty for Chambers. Maya still had to get around Dorian Penn to get the win. Chambers finished 2nd place ahead of Dorian Penn by more than 5 seconds to keep that. Great racing, Ben. How thrilling was that battle for the lead, and do you agree with the penalty?
It was a very thrilling battle all the way through, and especially with Chambers having that 5-second penalty, trying to see how big of a gap she could open up, and ultimately to only fall 1 position down to 2nd place, I think speaks very highly of her and her race as well. I'm sure she was praying for no safety car, because that really would have ruined her entire race, might have even dropped her out of the points entirely, but was able to build enough of a gap, and Weug had enough of a gap as well that it only ended up costing her, I guess, 7 points and 1 position. But I thought the penalty was, obviously it's not a very severe penalty, only 5 seconds, only cost her 1 spot at the end. I thought it was fair for the contact in that situation. But looking at the drivers in the cool down room, of course, Dorian was there as well with her 3rd place finish. I think that, generally speaking, no harm, no foul there. It was just one of those incidents that you're going to have in an F4 level series with drivers looking to gain all the experience they can. And many cases just starting out in single seaters, they're going to be prone to making little mistakes like that. I think 5 seconds was more than fair. And I think seeing those penalties in this series is something that's not to be unexpected, given that those mistakes happen from time to time. But again, not a very severe incident, all things considered. And both those drivers still finished 1-2 on the road, and in the results, obviously reversed with the Chambers penalty being imposed there. But still a good result for both of them, nonetheless, to take those top 2 spots.
Yeah, I 100% agree. That battle was so exciting to watch. I know I was on the edge of my seat as I was watching it. It definitely proved the haters wrong that F1 Academy is a thrilling series to watch. And yeah, I do agree with the penalty. It was a mistake on Chambers' end. She pushed Maya off wide, and yeah, I totally agree with what the stewards decided on. And yeah, just there's like 100% agreement on my end.
I'm always on the opinion that I love good racing, and the no harm, no foul. I know the day of the race, I was thinking, 5-second penalty. That's just such a great drive by her. But now that I've had more time to look at it, it's just like, okay, it had to be done. I mean, this isn't NASCAR where we're more used to it, and it's like, okay, drivers just keep it going. But
And
overall,
also that's how drivers learn from their mistakes.
yeah,
You just don't get like a little slap on the wrist and that's it. You should be accountable for what you did wrong, and those penalties help you become a better driver. Hey, we even see it in F1, and we see it in multiple series. Penalties still happen.
I was just going to say that if you're going to give Max Verstappen 5 seconds for what happened in the F1 Grand Prix, which again, I think was, we talked about that a little bit on the Encore show we just recorded. I thought that was a fair penalty in its own right. But if that's going to be worth 5 seconds for Max, I think this was worth 5 seconds for Chloe as well here in this situation.
Yeah. Chloe Chambers, what a drive all weekend. This looked to be, I mean, for a while, it seemed like when it came to Maya Weug, Chloe Chambers, those two were the top 2. Chloe Chambers took the pole, raced hard in that second race to get up as many positions, put in a great drive in that second race, but just unfortunately the penalty, just that was going to take away the victory. Post-race, she just seemed really motivated still for Miami. But Dorian Penn, bit behind the pace compared to Chambers and Maya Weug. And this was the race last year. It looked like she swept it. Of course, a penalty. So she only went with 1 win last year. Isha, do you believe this championship is really going to come down to these 3 drivers, or could we see some others rise up because we've seen like Lloyd, Palmowski get wins?
Yeah, I definitely believe other drivers could rise up, especially this year when we have a reverse grid order. And like I said before, the reverse grid races, they run Formula One's sprint race points, and the second race runs Formula One's regular race points. So yes, there's not as many points up for grabs for the reverse grid race. It's still points up for grab, and it's still a win at the end of the day. And I really think that these drivers can utilize that reverse grid to build up their skills and to become a championship leaders. As of right now, because of the experience of Chloe Chambers, Dorian Penn, Maya Weug, I do think it's going to be a 3-driver championship as of right now, but we'll wait and see if those other drivers are able to use the experience they gained in the reverse grid races to the regular races, like we saw from Palmowski in race 2.
Yeah, I was going to say I disagree, and then you brought up the point about those three being the championship favorites there, and so I think I now agree with what you were saying in its totality there. I do agree with your point, obviously, about the reverse grids. I think you're going to see the Ella Lloyds of the world, and Nina Gateman, of course, came very close in Shanghai in the first round. You're going to see some surprise winners that you wouldn't expect to see under the old format last year because of that reverse grid if they're able to maintain their starting positions. But when I look at the second round, where, of course, 2.5 times as many points are up for grabs, 10 for a win in the first race, 25 in the second. It's been the same podium both times so far. The order's just been a little bit different. It's been Maya Weug, Dorian Penn, and Chloe Chambers. So I think in terms of where the big points are awarded, the second race of the weekend, those are going to be your big three, if you will, that are going to be fighting for a championship. The fourth place driver in points right now, Palmowski, of course, won the first race in Shanghai. She's already 11 back of Chambers, who's 5 back of Penn, and 12 back of Maya Weug there, who's leading the championship. So those three have certainly started to assert a lead over the rest of the pack through 2 rounds here, and I see no reason why that won't continue once we get into Miami and later races down the road later this season as well.
Yeah, it's Miami, May 3rd, May 4th. That's going to be a fun weekend. Already, when you look at this compared to last season when we were up to the 4 races, 6 drivers have finished in the points in all the races so far in 2025. 4 different winners. 5 different drivers have been on the podium compared to last year. First 4 races, of course, Dorian Penn and Abby Pulling started pulling away literally from the competition. When it comes to this year, Ben, the way things are looking, we're coming to Miami, a track that drivers that were in F1 Academy last year drove on. Could we see another new winner in the inverted race at Miami?
Joe, I'm going to pick with my heart over my head here. And I'm going to say Leah Block is going to qualify in 8th, start on the reverse grid pole, and get a home win at the Miami Grand Prix. I think that's going to be your next first-time winner, and that's going to be how she gets the job done. It was unfortunate for her, obviously, with the incident qualifying that set her back this weekend in Jeddah, but she made the most of it in making it up to 12th in the first race, 14th in the second race. So making the most out of a bad situation. There are obviously no points for that, but with where she's been running, where I expect her to qualify if she's able to maximize her qualifying session in Miami, I think there's a good chance she could be starting towards the back end of that top 8. And even if it's a 7th place run like Ella Lloyd had this weekend, starting in the front row, taking the lead, and then maintaining it from there, I think she could be in prime position potentially. Even if it's not Miami, maybe later this year, that might be how she's able to get on the podium and maybe even stand in the middle. What a story that would be if she heard her national anthem in her home country in a couple weeks' time in Miami.
I definitely 100% agree. We're going to see a different race winner in Miami for the inverted grid. I'm going to say we're going to have 2 different race winners in general. The way that Chloe Chambers raced, I definitely think she's going to bring that energy to Miami for race 2 and get those full championship points. She proved she could win this week in Jeddah, but it's also her home race too. So maybe we can see another Star Spangled Banner from Chloe Chambers. I feel like in the inverted race, it obviously depends on where you qualify. And with these drivers, they're able to make great starts. We both saw from Alicia Palmowski and Ella Lloyd in those first 2 inverted races. So I definitely see another inverted race winner. I'm just going to say, I'm going to make a little bit of a little expectation, a little prediction. I think that Alba Larson can definitely win this inverted race. The way she was able to defend against Dorian Penn, oh my God, the way she was able to defend against her was amazing, and I definitely see her winning a race sometime this season, and I hope it's in Miami. Those are my 2 predictions.
Alba Larson in that Tommy Hilfiger car, great battle going on between her, Dorian Penn. That inverted race is going to be crazy, and I think Miami, it's just going to be a lot of fun to see that race weekend when F1 Academy arrives to the United States for that. Miami, and of course, we'll be previewing it leading up to that race weekend right here on the Grid Network. Subscribe, hit the bell icon. Of course, F1 Academy covers on our website from Isha. Be sure to check out gridnetworktv.com. Now let's switch over to NASCAR. Ben, we got the full announcement of Catherine Legg's full season coming up, including road courses, Mexico City. That has to be one a lot of people got to be saying, hey, that's a great track opportunity, especially with this car. None of the other drivers have raced there. This weekend, though, she was at Rockingham, and it was just one of those unfortunate series of events. She qualified, made the field, but then as some of the top folks in the points were slower, they get in. She got bumped out, so they had to bot a ride. They have the L sponsorship, and unfortunately, an early crash. Overall, does this highlight the flaws of the Xfinity series since there's no charge? And how frustrating is this for Catherine Legg and just in general this weekend?
Well, I don't think it's a charter issue. I mean, people know where I stand on a charter system in NASCAR. And now, unfortunately, in my opinion, in the IndyCar series as well, I'm not a fan of how that business practice has infiltrated American motorsports. I'm very thankful. I hope to God that we never see it in the Xfinity series. I think it would be very hard for the independents to survive, like the Alpha Prime Racings of the world and Jordan Anderson Racings of the world, which is where Catherine Legg is going to be making most of these starts and was planning to start for this Rockingham race. Was not the slowest car in qualifying. I want to make that clear. It's just the way the owner's point situation worked out and provisionals for different cars in the grid that have more points or have more starts or whatever. She unfortunately, with the combination of the time that she ran, where that car is in owner points, was kind of the odd driver out there and failed to qualify for the race. And again, I've got to be honest, I'm not a fan of ride buying in principle, generally speaking, but I understand it from the perspective of a driver that brings sponsorship, as Catherine Legg does with Elf Cosmetics. Could use the experience, certainly much more than a veteran that's been around for over 2 decades in JJ Yeley. And again, it's an unfortunate situation for JJ, but I think, he maybe gained a lot of fans and respect from allowing himself to step out of his car for Joey Gase's team and allow Catherine the opportunity to make this start anyway and try to gain that experience. And unfortunately, as we all know, it did not work out for a very unfortunate incident. And I think ultimately having 48 hours now to have calmed down and looked at the incident through an objective lens, like I said on the Encore show earlier tonight, I think it ultimately was just that, a very unfortunate racing incident between two drivers who are both inexperienced in different ways. Catherine Legg is obviously not an inexperienced racing driver, but she is inexperienced in stock cars on high banked ovals, and that was the situation that she found herself in on Saturday. William Sawalich, on the other hand, is inexperienced, as I said on the Encore show tonight, in life, really, when you think about it. Catherine Legg has been racing for longer than William has been alive. William's only 18 years old, just getting used to racing at this level in the Xfinity Series here on these kinds of tracks. I think a driver with a little bit more experience might have been able to see the situation a few seconds ahead than he was able to. Nick Sanchez had no problem getting underneath Catherine Legg and making the pass. I think Sawalich, if given the right set of circumstances, maybe the spotter could have played a bigger role in his ear as well, telling him what was going on ahead of him. I think there was enough room for him to go down and make the pass cleanly as well. Having said that, I can also see the argument that a driver with a little bit more stock car experience than Catherine Legg might have been able to get out of the groove a little bit earlier, a little bit sooner, gone up half a lane higher to make it a little bit easier on William Sawalich to get that pass done. Unfortunately, they both came together. He got into the back of her, spun her out. And the really unfortunate thing is that it took Casey Kane with them, and Casey Kane was making his first start in NASCAR in quite some time, over half a decade, and a lot of his fans were very much looking forward to his return, and he just got taken out as an innocent bystander in that ordeal. And I think that kind of fanned the flames of the hate that was coming towards both drivers, to be clear and to be fair, but especially towards Catherine Legg, on top of what, as Eric Estep correctly pointed out, and he took some heat for this as well, but I don't think he was wrong. It has objectively been a miserable experience for Catherine Legg this year in her return to stock car racing. She got caught up in the big one at the ARCA race at Daytona. That cost her 75 more laps that she could have used to gain more experience, and experience that would be coming in handy for Talladega next weekend. She lost out on the opportunity to do that. And then, of course, the Phoenix ordeal obviously was really unfortunate situation with her spinning out in the race in the opening laps and then kind of finding her groove, but then spinning out again with the contact with Josh Berry that ultimately ended Daniel Suarez's day as well. So again, I'm really hopeful as we've gotten this full announcement, as you mentioned, Joe, and this full schedule that she's going to be running, that Mexico City is going to be much more in her environment, more of what she's used to running on the road course, and a much better opportunity for her to be able to prove what she can do behind the wheel of a stock car. I will say, in complete objectivity and honesty, I am a little bit nervous for her at Talladega this weekend. Again, not because I don't think she's qualified to make that start and run the race. As we've said multiple times on this show, she's the fastest woman in IMS history. I have no doubt, but she can handle 200 miles an hour in the pack at Talladega. It's just I am a little bit nervous over the fact that if she is even close to an incident that takes out half a dozen cars or causes the big one or whatever, the people on social media that have been coming after her these last few weeks are going to have even more ammunition to do so later this week if something like that were to happen. Of course, we hope and pray it doesn't. But I think if she can get through Talladega here, there are more races coming up on her schedule where she will be in a much more comfortable environment, and I think she will be able to prove her talent behind the wheel much better under those circumstances. So again, it's a really, really unfortunate situation, unfortunate incident. I still stand by my initial belief. I think Sawallisch is partially to blame. But then again, you could say the driver with a little bit more experience maybe could have been a little bit more prepared for that situation that Kathleen Legge was in as well. But again, you also have to remember that was not the car that she qualified or practiced this week. That was a brand new environment to her as well in many respects because of the ride buying situation that played out after qualifying. So again, it's the business of this sport is very complicated and has a lot of flaws, as you mentioned, Joe, that can probably never be perfect. But that's still not an excuse for some of the rhetoric that has been spewed in Kathleen Legge's direction here over the last few weeks. And that's really, I think, the biggest tragedy in all of this. She made a mistake at Phoenix. You can't deny it. She maybe could have moved up half a lane this weekend at Rockingham and made it a little bit easier on William Sawallisch to get by. But even when she wasn't entirely at fault here in this situation, it still led to those trolls and comments coming out on social media, and that's the most frustrating part of the situation to me.
Yeah, it was very frustrating seeing all that on social media, just unwarranted and not welcoming at all in the motorsport community. I know for anyone that loves motorsports, we know you got to earn your racing experience on the track. Simulators can only do so much. Everyone belongs in a race car, especially in motorsports. And of course, definitely will be interesting to see how everything goes for Kathleen Legge this upcoming weekend. And of course, much more busy weekend of racing after just a weekend of only the Jeddah Grand Prix. We had F1 Academy, thankfully, so we're here on the air. But that leaves us for the one shining moment. Isha, I know it's a little bit of a slim weekend, but what was your shining moment from the race weekend?
My shining moment, and I fangirled about her a little bit, but Alba Larson, she raced so well, and the fact that she is 16, me at 16 years old, could not do what she's doing. She's my one shining moment, and my also second shining moment is the amazing community that we have. We have seen a lot of hate towards female drivers this week, and we come together as one and prove that that hate is not warranted and not accepted at all.
Well, there was one highlight that came out of Rockingham this weekend. Lainey Bice made her ARCA Menards Series East debut and finished in 8th place for Rev Racing on the lead lap there. So well done, Lainey Bice. Looking forward to seeing what she can do in her further opportunities this year in the ARCA platform with Rev and that team. That's my one shining moment from this weekend.
My shining moment has to go to Ella Lloyd getting that win with McLaren for our organization. I know it's McLaren supported, but still to say you're on the top set, wearing that papaya orange with the McLaren branding and everything in F1 Academy, really big moment for her career. And of course, F1 Academy, what a race weekend, some great race, and that lead battle on race 2. Cannot wait for them to come back to Miami. And of course, we cannot wait to cover all the racing. Of course, Grid Encore just wrapping up. Well, excuse me, just wrapped up. So, of course, you could find their video on YouTube, as well as we have Grid Tonight coming up. Then NASCAR race preview, and then Grid Live pre-race, Grid Live wrap-up, and then we're going to be racing. And we're approaching the month of May. We all know what that means. Month of May, Indianapolis 500, Monaco Grand Prix, Coca-Cola 600. We got a driver going for double. We'll be sure to cover it all right here. Subscribe, hit the bell icon. And once again, a big thank you to our Patreon investors, Colin Michelle, Mark Robin, David and Manager for investing in us. Encourage you to invest in us so we can expand our coverage more and more. For Isha and Ben, I'm Joe. Thank you for watching today's program. We'll see you next time and enjoy the races.